What if the reason you've always felt off isn't because you're broken, but because no one saw the real you? Imagine this. You're 30, sitting in a therapist's office. For years, you've been called shy, sensitive, too intense, not emotional enough. You've tried to fit in, mimicking how others act, but it's exhausting. Then the therapist says something that stops you cold. Have you ever considered you might be autistic? Suddenly, everything clicks. The disconnection, the effort, the quiet struggle no one else saw. For autistic women, this moment often comes way too late. Today, we're diving into why so many women on the spectrum go undiagnosed, the invisible labor they carry, and how understanding autism can change everything. Ever felt like you're performing a version of yourself that isn't you? Let's unpack this together. Let's start with the feeling. You've always been a little out of sync. Not in a loud way, just enough to notice. Picture yourself at 15, at a school dance. Everyone's laughing, dancing, connecting effortlessly. You're there smiling, but it's work. You're watching, calculating, when to speak, how to stand, what to say. They call you shy, but it's more than that. You feel like you're a beat behind, like there's a rhythm everyone else knows and you're faking it. Ever felt like you're pretending to be human, even when you're trying your hardest? Here's the truth. For autistic women, this isn't just shyness. It's a lifelong mismatch. You're like wired differently. Your brain processes the world with intensity, noticing patterns, feeling emotions deeply, but struggling with social cues others take for granted. You learn to mimic, to blend in, but it never feels natural. A 2020 study in Autism in Adulthood found that 80% of autistic women aren't diagnosed until adulthood. Some never are. Why? Because the system wasn't built to see you. Ever wonder why fitting in feels so hard, even when you're good at it? Let's talk about why this happens. Autism research has historically focused on boys. Think loud, disruptive behaviors, obvious stimming, social withdrawal. But girls? You're different. You're taught to be polite, agreeable, helpful. So, you mask. At 10, you force eye contact, even though it feels like staring into the sun. You smile on cue even when you're overwhelmed. A 2016 study in the Journal of Autism and Developmental Disorders found that autistic women often pretend to be normal, a survival strategy that hides their struggles. Your emotional inhibition gets praised as maturity. Your obsessive interests, like memorizing every detail about your favorite book series, get called ambition. Your sensory avoidance, like hating loud noises, gets brushed off as picky. Ever been told you're fine when you felt like you were falling apart? This masking isn't just effort, it's labor. You're 25 at a work meeting. You're tracking every word, every facial expression, trying to respond right. You suppress your need to fidget, even though your body's screaming for it. You laugh at jokes you don't get because that's what people do. This is called camouflaging, consciously or unconsciously hiding your autistic traits to fit in. It looks like social skills, but it's not. A 2023 report from Autism Research says autistic women camouflage more than men, leading to chronic stress and emotional exhaustion. Ever feel like you're acting in a play with no script? Here's the cost: autistic burnout. You're 28 and suddenly you can't keep up. You've been the perfect daughter, employee, friend, always adapting, always performing. But now you're drained. You forget things, snap at people, can't handle the lights at the grocery store. A 2020 study in Autism in Adulthood describes autistic burnout as a loss of executive function, heightened sensory sensitivity, and an inability to keep masking. It's not regular burnout. It can last months, even years, because it's neurological. Ever hit a wall and couldn't explain why? Let's paint another picture. You're 32, a nurse. You're great at your job, organized, detail-oriented, caring. But no one knows how hard it is. The hospital's fluorescent lights make your head buzz. The constant chatter feels like static. You go home, collapse, unable to speak for hours. Your body's screaming, muscle tension, fatigue, sleepless nights. A 2021 study in the Journal of Autism and Developmental Disorders found that 72.8% of autistic women report chronic fatigue, and 69% have sleep issues linked to sensory overload and stress. Your nervous system's on high alert, always compensating. Ever feel exhausted for no reason? Let's talk misdiagnosis. You're 27, in therapy for anxiety. You've been on meds, tried CBT, but nothing fits. That's because no one looked deeper. Studies show 80% of autistic women get misdiagnosed, often with anxiety, depression, or borderline personality disorder. Why? Your traits don't match the typical autism stereotype. You're not disruptive, you're withdrawn. You're not unemotional, you feel too much but you don't show it right. A 2023 study in Frontiers in Psychiatry found autistic women have strong affective empathy. They feel others' pain deeply, but struggle with cognitive empathy like reading social cues. People call you cold, but you're not. Ever been labeled something that didn't feel true? Here's a story. My friend Lena, 34, spent years in therapy for depression. She was fine on the outside. Great job, married, 2 kids. But she was unraveling. She'd shut down after social events, overwhelmed by noise and small talk. She'd obsess over routines, panicking if they changed. At 33, a new therapist suggested autism. It fit. Her sensory issues, her need for structure, her quiet intensity. A diagnosis changed everything. She stopped blaming herself. Ever had a moment where a label finally made sense? Let's go deeper. This isn't just personal, it's systemic. Autism diagnostic criteria were built on boys. A 2022 study in autism research found girls are less likely to be referred for assessment unless they're disruptive. Traits like social mimicry, copying others to fit in, or internalized distress like anxiety get missed. You're 18, getting straight A's, so no one notices you spend lunch alone, overwhelmed. By the time you're diagnosed, you've been through years of wrong labels, depression, anxiety, eating disorders. Misdiagnosis means mistreatment. Therapy for the wrong thing can make you worse. Ever felt like the fix wasn't fixing anything? Here's the physical toll. You're 29, always tense. Your shoulders ache, you can't sleep, you're drained. A 2021 study links autism in women to central sensitivity syndromes like fibromyalgia, widespread pain, fatigue, tied to sensory overload. Your body's in fight or flight, always adapting to a world not built for you. The lights are too bright, the conversation's too fast, the expectation's too heavy. Ever feel like your body's holding a story your mind can't tell? Let's talk empathy, a big misconception. You're 31 at a family party. Your cousin's upset and you feel it. Her sadness hits you like a wave, but you don't know how to show it. You freeze, say the wrong thing, and they call you distant. A 2023 study in Frontiers in Psychiatry says autistic women often have heightened emotional empathy, but struggle to express it in typical ways. You care, sometimes too much, but it doesn't look the way people expect. Ever been called cold when you felt the opposite? Here's the cultural piece. Being a woman makes it harder. Society expects you to be social, nurturing, emotionally on. But as an autistic woman, that's a clash. You're 26 at a baby shower. You're overwhelmed. Too many people, too much noise. But you can't leave. That's rude. So you stay, smile, perform, even as your head screams. Femininity demands emotional labor, but your brain isn't wired for it. A 2022 report in The Lancet Psychiatry says autistic women face double pressure: be neurotypical and meet gendered norms. Ever felt like you're failing at being a woman? Let's look at the numbers. They say autism is more common in boys. 1 in 36 boys diagnosed, 1 in 144 girls per the CDC in 2023. But what if that's wrong? What if it's not less common in girls, just less visible? A 2021 study in autism research suggests the gap might be smaller than we think because girls mask better. You're 20, scripting conversations, forcing smiles, passing as normal. The system misses you. Ever wonder if the stats are hiding the truth? Here's the hope. Diagnosis can change everything. You're 35, finally diagnosed. A 2020 study in Autism Journal found that late diagnosed autistic women felt relief, clarity, and less self-blame. You're not failing. You're different. You learn to set boundaries, like skipping loud events. You find routines that work, like noise-canceling headphones. Another study by Lita Metal in 2020 says understanding your neurology helps you reframe your life. Not as a failure, but as a misfit. It's not a cure, but it's a map. Ever wished you could stop fighting yourself? This matters beyond you. A 2022 study found that when mothers get diagnosed, their kids are more likely to get early support. You're breaking a cycle. What would it feel like to live without masking, even for a day? If this hit home, if it made you feel seen, don't keep it quiet. Like this video, share it with someone who gets it. Your best friend, your sister, your group chat. Subscribe for more. You're not alone, and you're not broken. What's one thing you'd tell your younger self now? Drop it in the comments. I'm here for it.